My name's Adele Grover and I work in Southwark, and there's 8 extended services coordinators that work across the borough. We will take a locality of schools each. My particular locality is Camberwell, where I manage 15 schools, which includes 1 academy. And my role is really sort of an intermediary between the schools and the local council. I play that sort of middleman role. Extended Services was launched in 2005 to help schools develop their after-school provision for pupils, to make sure they were experiencing a wide and varied menu of activities after school, to also help parents with their childcare responsibilities by providing after-school clubs. It was also to support parents who may be struggling themselves with literacy and numeracy, and also so that we could provide adult education and things like that at the school, which would then in turn benefit the pupils, because they would be able to receive help with their homework and things like that from their parents, to understand a little bit better about what was going on in the school day. So again, that was just to sort of build the relationship that the parents have with the school as well, and we're sort of responsible for making sure that schools do that really well. Another part of my role is around extending the access to the school for community groups coming in using the school as a facility. Lots of schools just close their doors at 3 o'clock, and that's pretty much it. Sometimes they'll have hire agreements and things in place, but it's all very ad hoc, and there's not a lot of sort of across the board sort of I can't think of the right word, agreement with all the schools. They tend to do it on an individual basis. They've got different prices for different people coming in, things like that. So we're trying to sort of develop some universal way that community groups can access school facilities, weekends and after school. It doesn't always have to be a monetary value attached to that as well. It can just be, we can give you this, and in return can we have a space. So it's trying to set up those sort of agreements as well. And then the last part of my role is also looking at the way in which young people who have additional needs and special needs are identified within the school, and they receive the preventative support that they need early on in their schooling life. So there's sort of lots of sort of different things that my work does. When the Extended Services strategy came into place, there was an area-based grant which was allocated to each individual council, local authority across the UK, which enabled them to hire people such as myself to play this role, but also monies for schools to develop and improve and increase the range of extended services that they were offering. I suppose my role is about brokering those agreements and sitting with schools and saying, okay, looking at your school and what you're doing already, you're doing great, what can we do even better? And then the schools tend to feed back to me and say, well, actually, we really want to set up this club for these Year 2 pupils, or we really want to open up our ICT suite for the local community to use, or things like that. And then we look at how we can do that. And often the grant that they've received for that is then allocated to fulfil that development plan. So over the last year, I've been in post since August last year. We've been working with schools to develop their action plans, assign money to them to deliver the services, and then now we're sort of starting to see some of those changes happening. This financial year just started. We have another round of funding. So again, as schools feel more comfortable with working with us, we have more of an opportunity. We've built up a relationship now with the head teachers, so more of an opportunity to do more things, and they're sort of they're more open to suggestions and ideas. So now is we see it as a time for development where we can involve more of the local community and sort of say, okay, well, who is best placed in the locality to deliver these services, and sort of because we've noticed that schools are very inward focusing. And they don't tend to, I don't know whether it's a time issue, but they don't tend to look and see how they sit within their locality. So it's about raising the awareness for the schools and saying, well, actually, the local need in your area is X, Y, and Z. And this is how you can contribute to that, and this is how you can work with the third sector in order to fulfil your duties. Under Ofsted, they are now required to work towards things like community cohesion and things like that, which they weren't before. So that can be interpreted in many different ways. So, but it's a slow and it's an ongoing process. So they do have money at the moment through myself to deliver projects. I'll just give you an example of something that we're talking about doing at the moment. So this financial year, we've had the area-based grant, which they got given, has been sort of slashed because I think everybody wants a slice of the pie. But what we do have, we're looking to try and develop themes across Southwark to prioritise, and a big thing is around obesity and issues to do with health and things. So we are now looking to develop a partnership project across all of the localities to deliver programmes connected to health and well-being. So we will be looking now for the groups within the local community that will be able to help that come to fruition. So extended services coordinators, I suppose, are quite useful in that sense for if we know of your existence, then we can sort of match you up with schools that are saying we want to do this, we want to do that, and we can say, well, we've got these people that we know would be perfect for that, and sort of make the connections.
So how's that identified, and how do you identify that? What do you do in terms of your ground research?
Well, interestingly enough, so to take my afternoon meeting that was off to, that is where we've recently collated, our data and statistics team recently collated a lot of information they've drawn together from lots of different sources, which talk about the local deprivation and the need in the area. So we're going to try and get our heads around what is actually going on in our local area and how we can use that data effectively and how we can interpret that and then take that back to schools. So we've got that sort of angle, which is the wider scene, and then we've also got the consultation that we are pressing on schools to do within the term time with their parents, with their pupils. Some schools are really great at consultation. Some will rely on a letter home and hope for a response. Some are not so good. It just depends what questions we want to put to them, but they're very open to us doing that consultation because they see us as great, you do it, we don't have to think about it. So again, if there's, I suppose what we would be looking for is, are our parents happy with the services that they get at the school? Are the pupils happy with the services they get at the school? And if there are areas that we can develop, we would then take that back to the head teachers and say, well, look, your pupils are saying that as much as they love football, that's not the only thing that they want to do in the school day or after school. So, you know, we've heard they really want to do, you know, drumming or something after school, and then the head teachers will then, well, they're supposed to then use that information to then put on services that match what the pupils and the parents are asking for. So that's how it should work. So it's a mixture of the wider sort of stats and things like that that are already out there, collating that information, and then also what the schools are telling us through the consultations that they're doing, and in order to get a picture of what the need is. And then aside to that, I suppose there's also other projects in departments that will be looking at sort of like the childcare, and whether there's enough childcare across the borough for the amount of, you know, some sort of sums they do with sort of the providers and the places and all of that, which again we could then argue to schools that they need to be running childcare till 6 o'clock in the evening or what have you. So many different sort of ways you can approach it really.